And joining us now in our book talk segment, great to welcome a woman who's written a book that is going to come in handy, I'm sure, as school just getting underway. And I know a lot of students looking to perhaps go to college in the next couple of years. It's called Graduation Debt, How to Manage Student Loans and Live Your Life. This is the second edition out, and we're joined today by the author, Reyna Gobel, from up in Brooklyn today. And Reyna, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Happy to be here.
Good to have a chance to chat with you for a few minutes. I know this is a big issue for many parents of children who are looking to go to college, but even for students that are already in college and have taken out student loans. I guess this is a pretty big problem, student loan debt that you hear about, right?
Yeah, I mean, it affects my generation. I'm in my 30s. It affects people in their 20s. It affects parents with children. I mean, it just affects everybody. And from the parent end, if your kids are starting to think about budgeting and thinking about the debt and what the payment plans really are ahead of time, it's so helpful. So if parents can get this in the hands of their kids first, I would be so happy, because it really is important that they know about it before they take on the debt.
You went through this yourself, right? I mean, you had some student loans, and if I read it right, there was a loan that you didn't realize you had, right, that defaulted on you. That's kind of scary.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, to get to the point of, like, being 18 and in college, I mean, there's two things that happened here. It's like, number one, a mistake that most people I know made, and I certainly made, was how we spent those student loan refund checks. So I have an article out on Forbes this week about that, because if you can figure out how to spend the remaining money out after tuition, you'll owe so much less. You can put aside some money, and that will serve as an emergency account for students. And then those little things like spring break trips and such, you really should get a part-time job for, preferably from career services that actually has to do with your field. Now, as far as the loan I forgot about, I had a default. I had 16 loans as an undergraduate, and I consolidated those loans together. But I either forgot one of those loans, or the student loan company that consolidated it forgot one. Well, somebody forgot. But if I looked on the National Student Loan Data System, it would have said that it wasn't showing that it was consolidated. It would have shown that it was showing late payments, that it wasn't in good standing before the default happened. That's why I recommend everybody goes to the National Student Loan Data System. But in my case with default, so I made a few on-time payments under the default system, and I got the default wiped from my credit report right away. You can do that. What other loan could you do that with? And now, as of July 1st, there is a program where you can pay as little as $5 a month, depending on your income, to get that loan out of default.
Yeah, I know that recently changed with that. And yeah, I went through that a few years ago. I went back to school and took out some student loans, but you really got to pay attention because, like you said, it can get a little confusing with the consolidation and everything. Now, fortunately, when I did it, the interest rates were very low, like 1.2%. Now it's a little bit higher, but you can get in trouble quickly if you don't realize the interest rates either, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's like you just really want to be conscious of it, but not just conscious of your student loans, because you can get great repayment plans. You can get income-related options. You can possibly get public service loan forgiveness if you're one of 4 Americans that qualifies. The marketing person at a hospital could qualify for some public service loan forgiveness because of where they're employed. So if you have a government contract, whatever you have that might possibly be public service, you really want to apply and see if you qualify, because so many people do. And otherwise, you know, look at the rest of your budget. Half my book is on budgeting. And the reason is I see so many people wasting money in other areas that could be going towards their student loans. I'm not talking about wasting money where you should be eating beans and rice. I cannot live on beans and rice. I go crazy. I couldn't have a knish. I couldn't have anything good ever. And I couldn't even have great salads. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So instead, let's cut the things that we don't care about. Keep coffee, keep frappuccinos. I would never tell anyone to give up a cappuccino, a frappuccino, or anything of the sort, but I would tell them to give up spoiled groceries. Most people throw out about a quarter of the groceries they buy, partly because of wishful thinking when they're eating, and it's like, I'm just going to bring all my lunches to work. No, you're not. Think about what you're spending. Look at the places that you're choosing to go out to eat at. Do it consciously. Don't feel guilty. Maybe take half of it home. Use a restaurant.com coupon. Use a Groupon. Use coupons. figure out how to live your life in the most frugal way, not try to be, I'm going to go gung-ho beans and rice, because you probably won't be happy. And happiness is the real goal. Taking control of your student loans is the real goal. Taking control of your life, negotiating your rent for your next lease, and just all around being conscious. Some friends of mine looked at their car and home insurance and compared, and they say it's about $1,000 a year. That's a lot of student loan payments.
Hey, you have a chapter in the book, like you just talked about there, budgeting not only for your debt payments, but your lifestyle as well, and save some money, like you said, to have the occasional meal out or something. So don't entirely deny yourself that. That's important, right?
Yeah, and depending on what you're eating when you're out, it may not even be that much more expensive than buying groceries. So just whatever way your lifestyle works, make sure that you're doing it consciously and you're setting a budget for it. Don't feel guilty because you went out, budget for it.
How bad a problem is it, though, from your research, Reyna? It's one thing you really have to learn in life, how to manage money and debt, particularly when you first get credit cards. It gets a lot of people in trouble. They go a little crazy with that. Now, with student loans on top of that, and you hear some students up to $200,000, $300,000 they owe when they get out of school, and how do you pay that back? Even if you have a decent job after school, that's pretty tough.
Yeah, that's where you look at some of the income-related plans, and I talked to this couple that combined they made about $70,000, but they were managing to pay off $300,000 in debt. And they consolidated, they got in an extended plan, they bought a home, their income will go up pretty quickly. They both went to a private law school. And it's really just a matter of you look at it and you say, okay, I have this debt. Now what payment plans could I get on? Is there something that I can afford? It doesn't have to ruin your life. Because that debt, I'm proud of the $60,000 in student loan debt I have. Because it's what allowed me to do my job. And where I get to help people, other people that have this debt, other people that may not have understood it. I started off as an entertainment writer. And gradually I went into this, and it's been so much fun because it's easy to make entertainment fun. I can review comedy all day long, and it's always fun. But when you can write in a way that people get it about finance, it's really fulfilling.
Is it? I guess when you look at taking out student loans, maybe also, I think you might have mentioned in the book as well, maybe go to a school that's a little bit less expensive too. That's got to be part of the decision making, right? I mean, not necessarily you have to go to Harvard. You can go to a decent other school, and that'll eliminate some of that debt, right? Or at least the need for that kind of debt.
Well, here's the funny thing. Sometimes Harvard is your cheapest option because of the amount of aid they give out.
Is that
They give
right?
out a lot of financial aid.
I didn't know that.
Really, yeah. So a lot of times the private schools can be cheaper than public if they have a good amount of endowments. And you can talk to the financial aid office at your high school about that, about who is giving out a lot of endowment. There are net price calculators where you can kind of get a good estimate of that on most school websites. So there's lots of ways and lots of little tricks here and there that you can use to really figure out what's going on. And don't think that you're not going to be able to get your kid into a good school, that financially the letters are not looking like you'd want to, and they've got their heart set on a school that will cost you $40,000 once you actually get the bottom line information. You want to set up your child for the best life they can. Getting out a lot of parent loans does not set them up for that. What sets them up is teaching them about money, teaching them about responsibility. And if they wanted to go to this really high-priced school and they couldn't get the scholarships, then they really don't necessarily deserve to go to that school.
Well, a lot of great tips in the book. We've just touched on a few of them. It's called Graduation Debt, How to Manage Student Loans, Live Your Life. This is the second edition, put out by Cliff's Notes. And Reyna Gobel has been our guest. Do you have a website, Reyna, you want to direct people to, get a hold of you or the book?
Yeah, graduationdebt.org. And if they tweet me at Reyna Gobel, I answer every question.
Great. Reyna, appreciate you taking a few minutes. Good job with the book, and hopefully we can talk to you again. Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Have a